Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
A good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We have fun every Saturday morning, and it's an extra special Saturday morning. We got a full house here on third Saturday. We have tracked them down. And definitely we will have introduction competition as we roll out this show, as one of them is already shaking his head. I heard it. No, I didn't either. But it is third Saturday. Frank Barton is back from his travels. I have the book from the Master Nationals, the 2024 Master Nationals, AKC, September 23rd through October 2nd in Cavill, Kentucky. Good Saturday morning, Frank. Glad to have you back.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everyone.
And next to him is, of course, the man that – did you notice on the format?
I did.
I have your title. I have your title on here.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That is, of course, we know who that is. John Gordon. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everybody out there.
Yeah, he is the DU Media Production Manager. DU is Ducks Unlimited, in case you folks. And I have on my –
sporting DU gear this morning.
I got my gear on here, right now, right here and right now. So we're gonna talk a little waterfowl today. Thanks to not only John being back with us on the road and catching him in between all of his trips to Texas, and September was busy, I know, for him. And we'll talk to John about that. And like I said, Frank is back from the Master National. What annual one was this time in Paducah?
What was the question?
What year is this? We just lost John Gordon. He just went down to the lower level of the seats. Get a picture of that.
This was our 34th year.
34th year, and it was really near Paducah. And, of course, it hit at the same time as something else was rolling through the Mid-South. We had the Hurricane Helene with all the rain. Of course, we didn't. Those poor folks. So it's just a mess over in the Carolinas and East Tennessee. But Frank, I guess in that competition lasts how many days?
Well, it's scheduled for 10.
And you went 11 or 12. I mean,
we
you did it in 11.
We did it in 10, but we only ran 9 because
get rain
on Friday. We suspended all of our testing on Friday because of the storm.
And, of course, we got like 7 inches in Germantown during that same time where I live. And
we had 6.5 up there in
6.5 at Paducah, but with how many dogs?
1,132 were entered. We started, by the time we had our scratches, we had 1,066 that actually started the day.
Wow. And I've got the book. As I said, I even had Frank autograph it because he did have 2 dogs in it. And now I know that I've added to my collection. I use it for lifting weights. It's better than barbells or anything like that. But the book is massive, and Frank is back to his old self here, keeping up with the book and things. And we'll talk to Frank throughout the show. But going to try to hook up with David Best. He's on his way back from Florida. If we don't, it'll just be us here. And then, of course, David will give us the Mid-South fishing report as he only can. And then we got a man on coming up this morning who has just been listed by Field and Stream magazine as one of the 25, I think the way they put it, one of the 25, let me look it up real close, one of the 25 greatest waterfowl hunters of all time. And that's Terry Denham, our good friend from Mojo Outdoors, right up there with John Olin. There you go, Frank and John. John Olin. Phil Robertson, Nash Buckingham, John Browning, and Wade Bourne, and others. And Terry is going to be on the show, but we set this up with Terry before this list even came out because they've got a new hot shot spinning wing decoy that we like to talk to. And it just doesn't seem right. Both you guys being waterfowl hunters, it's been 1992 or something like that. The first spinning,
a little later than that.
It was 2000 maybe or something.
It was the late 90s.
Late 90s, but it's still that's all we talked about for a year. It seems like, spinning wing decoys.
When they hit, Larry, there was nothing else like it. I'd never seen ducks react that way before.
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally set up a spinning wing decoy in a puddle somewhere and attract ducks to it. They had seen that flash their whole lives.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I wish I'd have thought of it.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
really.
he's a pretty smart man, Terry is, and he's always been a supporter of Outdoors with Larry Ray and other things. So we're going to talk to Terry, and we'll talk a little history that we always do. The man has got a degree in engineering from Louisiana Tech. I'm sure that Phil Robertson didn't have a degree in engineering from Louisiana Tech, but he was the quarterback at Louisiana Tech before Terry
though,
Bradshaw.
I think Phil was an engineer.
Maybe he was, but he was the quarterback before Terry Bradshaw.
He was.
He was, yeah. And we'll talk to Terry Denham, and then we're going to talk alligators. You know, Arkansas just completed their alligator season, the 2 weekends that they had them. Anyone y'all want to guess how many alligators they killed in 2 weekends in Arkansas? Frank, that's your stomping grounds over there. How about you want to make a guess? In 2 weekends.
That is radio silence, which isn't good. I'm just trying to fill in.
I'm going to tell you it's 181 in 2 weekends, alligators.
And I thought it'd been more than that.
Well, we had some rain that weekend. A lot of it, as Frank was mentioning there. We had a lot of rain, but it was still last year was 202 was the record. And so they got 181. And so we're going to talk to Randy Zellers, who, of course, is a former area. He lived here for many years in the Bartlett area, and Randy is now the Assistant Chief of Communications for the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. And then we're going to talk to a young man, Levi Moser. We haven't had Levi on the show before because we've done a lot of remotes and things from Lindsay's Resort over on the Little Red River. Well, Levi is a guide over there now who caught his first bass when he's 2 years old and now is a fly fishing guide. And I think he'll be 29 in December. But we're going to talk to Levi about how a wet September and now no rain at all in October is dealing with things. And we'll talk to the guys in here. And then we'll close out the show. Thank you, John Gordon. Who's that last guest we got coming in here?
A good buddy of mine, Stephen Pitt. I've known the Pitt family for a long time.
Yeah. And Stephen does something, he and who else you told me?
Oh, Chris Armstrong.
Yeah, he and Chris Armstrong are the gun people for
right.
DU.
Yeah, pretty unique positions within the Ducks Unlimited. And the fundraising system, depends on guns for a lot of the revenue generated.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really a big undertaking.
Do they do the gun of the year?
There's a selection committee
that does that. Okay.
Right.
And that's part of the DU history there.
Oh yeah. 1983.
Is that one the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, this Bo Hoop.
It wasn't Bo Whoop.
It was
a Remington 1100.
Oh, it was a Remington 1100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the one that someone stole from me. I've got one of those stolen a long time ago. But anyway, we're going to have a fun show today. I appreciate John and Frank in the building. Frank making that drive all the way over from Marion, Arkansas. And Frank, I know that, and you guys both, let me ask you real quickly here before we get into all the major things about this. A dry October enables you to spend a lot of time, I guess, get ready for waterfowl season. If you have a wet October and a dry September, but we had a wet September, now we got a dry October, what does that affect you for as getting prepared? Frank? Are you able to get in?
All my places that I would hunt have water.
Okay.
Some have a lot, and some have a little.
All right.
Which compared to last year when none had any.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So better shape from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes it a little more difficult when it comes time to brush up the blinds and add your camouflage stuff because they're harder to get to now.
Yeah.
So that takes more time, but we're more enthusiastic because we know we got water to begin with.
Yeah, and of course you spent some time in Texas. Just we last talked to you. And,
I was there for the whole teal season.
What was it like? I mean, give me a.
Once again,
had a lot of rain down there
wet
too.
Summer, hurricane come through there as well.
Yes.
Hurricane barrel. So but still the conditions were so there was a lot more water as far as the marshes and all that went.
Mm-hmm.
You know, down there.
Yeah,
a lot more fresh water available. So, but overall it was pretty typical teal season down there. It was really fantastic. There were some slow hunts in there, but overall it was really good. But I know some of the guys I've talked to now, it's been, once again, just like here, it's been really dry down there, and so they're losing water fast. I mean, it's evaporating, as much as a foot a week.
Well, they had some.
So they're having to pump right now, big time.
Record temperatures too. It stayed warm.
It's been really hot. It was really hot during the entire teal season until the very last weekend. You're right there. We got a front came in, and a huge push of blue wings came in at that point.
Oh, it did.
And
yeah,
it was a great last weekend.
90s and things like that.
It was
still going on.
It was 80 degrees at sunrise.
Huh. Well, we've had a cool weather here. It's really been great. This is my kind of weather. I know we're going to start needing some rain. I know my good friend, I got a lot of good friends are out there. The cotton's coming out. They're getting the cotton, and I've heard it's a great bean season. My friend Billy Montague, if you still want to get a rabbit hunt, it won't be long. You need to go with Billy Montague, and you can go to LarryRay.com and set you a rabbit hunt up, real dry. We've already gone up, and this is the strange thing. My buddy and I went up to where we deer hunt last week, and we were going to check out all of our deer stands and put the bug bombs in and clean up everything. There were no bugs. And I haven't seen wasps this year like it's been. So we put the bug bombs in to get rid of them. Last year we had black flies and bug bombs and everything. So I don't know, this dry October is going to be, but I'm seeing deer, and I know you guys are optimistic when the season comes. I mean, it'll be here before you know it.
That's always. I was in Arkansas last weekend.
Yeah, what'd you see?
The specklebellies are already arriving in big numbers.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Frank, you hear that?
Yeah. I did.
Yeah. Do you specklebelly hunt?
I'm not a speck hunter.
I didn't think you was. This is the man right here.
I'm a speck hunter.
That's it. Yeah, he's the speck.
Although I'm going to miss the early season opener. I'm going to miss most of it. I'm going to be gone for just about the entire month of November.
Yeah, we're going to talk to John about that, about his travels and everything, and probably down at the end, maybe he and Stephen can swap some stories that we can get on the radio. Maybe we'll try.
We can tell some good ones, Larry.
Yeah. Well, so can his dad. We need to. That's something we need to do, John. Next time we get you in studio, let's try to get Pat.
Get Stephen and Pat together.
Stephen and Pat together. Oh, that would be something. All right, let's take our first break of the morning on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Shelby McCall taking care of us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. As we head into our 25th year on the air, and I think I was looking back, and Frank Barton, been part of this show for, I know, over a decade. John Gordon. I didn't want to stop there, but John stepped right in after another man, Mike Checkett.
Yeah, but I was co-hosting my Avery days too.
Yes,
Larry.
you were.
So,
that's what. Would you let me just? Okay. I mean, look at this. He's I'll take it away, John. All right.
So I think it's been about 8 years.
Larry. Yeah. Okay. During the Avery days, and then Frank has been for. Probably 10, 12. I don't know how many years.
More than that.
More than that.
Yeah, we're closer to 20 than anything else.
I'm sure. And then this next guest, as we kick off this Saturday morning, has been part of this show for a long time, since I first met David Best out in Bartlett and at some of the fishing shows and things along that line. And now he's out at SYS Wilson, primary tackle out in Arlington. And always like to get David on the line. Even though he's on the road coming back from vacation, he can still talk a little Mid-South fishing to us, and it's always good to have. Yeah, good Saturday morning, David.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we've been talking here earlier in the show about wet September, dry October.
Yeah.
And I saw a little video the other day from our good friend Billy Doyle, and Billy says he's going to come on next time I get you on. But he had a video on the Ghost River with an alligator. It kind of caught my attention there that he was fishing it. But talk a little bit about the wet September, David. Now this dry October.
Well, I mean, we had a really wet September. We had some high water in some places, and now all the water has completely dropped out of everywhere for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of low water, but the water temperatures with this nice cold week we had are going to drop, and the fishing's fixing to get really phenomenal.
That's what I like.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Everybody else will be in the deer woods. If you like to fish, this is the time to go.
Well, that's what Ron Wong always says. He loves hunting seasons because everybody gets off the water and heads to the woods. And for David, that means a lot of kayak fishing. And talk about when you say low water level, water temperatures now. What do you think they are? I mean, I know because we were pretty hot in the summer, but really it's all that. So what do you think the water temperatures are running now? When we had some early frost,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been here this week, so I really haven't had an opportunity to really
what do
look
you
at
think?
it.
What do you think?
So I'm going to guess we're going to be in those upper 60s.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And what it's going to do, though, is it's really going to push, for the bass fishermen, it's going to push a lot of those shad to the back of the creek.
Okay.
You're going to be able to go find those schooling fish. Those fall schooling fish is one of my favorite ways to go fish and go catch them.
Yeah.
And, they're hitting the top. They're easy to find. You won't catch as many of those big ones like that, but you can go catch some good numbers on top waters and jerk baits and those and it's just a fun way to catch them.
And, of course, crappie. I mean,
and crappie are, again, and that's one of those things a lot of guys miss is those crappie are going to pull up shallow too.
They are.
With a lot of these, chasing bait fish and stuff. We'll be catching crappie at Horseshoe in 5 or 6 foot of water through the end of December, probably.
That's amazing. That's one of my favorite places. And you mentioned a lake that we want to send out our prayers to the family that was affected by that tragic boating accident over at Horseshoe. I can't imagine. I know where that spot was. I have fished there before, and to have someone lose their life on Horseshoe, it's sad. But I wanted to throw that in there. Folks, wear those life jackets. These water temperatures and things along that line right now, and life jackets. And I know you guys sell life jackets, don't you, David?
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
And you watch an old movie and it looks like they're throwing a boat cushion out at you. The life jackets now become so comfortable. Yeah, they're almost like a vest. They're like John's got on. I got on.
Pretty small, compact.
Yeah, and so for your sake in a kayak for sure. What do you recommend for us life jacket wise, particularly in these October? If you're out there and it's 50 degrees, that water temperature, whatever it might be, you can still get hypothermia. So what do you recommend?
So, typically the ones we sell the most of course, are the inflatables. The beauty of those inflatables is there's really no reason year-round not to wear that thing.
There you go.
I mean,
that's right.
It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not restricting your casting motions. And if you need it, it's there.
Yeah.
You're not having to go find it if you fall overboard or trying to get somebody to throw one to you. You need to have the dang thing on when you start. We tell everybody, it's not in the state of Tennessee. You don't legally have to wear your inflatable in a kayak, but I tell everybody you should always have one.
21.
Same thing with the bass boat.
21 fatalities already this year in the state of Tennessee.
Yep. Absolutely.
Zero wearing life jackets.
Yep. And that's the thing is without that life jacket, if you have a heart attack, you go overboard, you knock your head out, you knock yourself out on the way out the boat or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have an opportunity to fix that. So, you need to wear it. It's not going to hurt you.
And it's got the perfect name. It's a life jacket.
Yep.
I mean, and the expense now. So what's a life jacket cost now? If you want to get one that's less than $100, right? I mean,
a really, really good one is you can get into a really good life jacket for less than $100.
Yeah.
That $100 to $125 range is superior. I mean, you can pay as much as you want for one, but for $100, it's worth every dime.
Every dime.
It's not like it's something that is going to wear out. You can wear the same life jacket for years and years and years.
You sure can. It's not like the old times. Again, we're talking to our good friend David Best from out at S.Y. Wilson and Primary Tackle in Arlington. the famous building we always talk about. I don't care if you don't fish or whatever, but it's worth going to David's business just to see what's in there. I mean, particularly when it comes to Halloween, I think there may be some ghost up in there someplace, David. I mean,
no, there's no such thing as ghosts. We've had this discussion. If there was ever anywhere in Shelby County that was going to have one, we probably could. I mean, the building's been there since 1910. The business has been there since 1893.
Okay, well, I like to throw that in there, but I know at this time of the year, so tell us what's going on out there in your hours, and maybe you got some special things. Come on out and see you. What do you got going on this Saturday? Anything?
So, we've got some great deals on kayaks going right now.
Right,
so it's a great time to come see us. We're here Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6.
Okay.
Sundays from 12 to 5. We have music on the square tonight over at the amphitheater.
All right.
Right by the building. We got a great band tonight. Basket Case is going to be here.
Basket Case. Is that the band's name?
That's the band's name, but they're really well known here in Memphis. They're a really, really good band.
Okay. Shelby, you know Basket Case? You've heard of them? Are they just out on the pass for the weekend? I mean, so what kind of music does the Basket Case, what do they play?
They're more like an 80s, 90s rock genre kind of.
Look at there,
Shelby.
Shelby knows them. We got some music that Shelby even knows here. Okay, yeah.
There you go. So
right.
but they're really good.
Okay,
they're well worth the visit.
All right. Well, David, thank you, buddy, and tell them again you're open today, Saturday, from what 8 to what or what 10 to
from
what?
10 to 6.
10 to 6. Got you, buddy. All right, buddy.
Right,
Thanks
you.
always. Thank you, David.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
David Best, Basket Case. Okay. Have you heard of the Basket Case?
No.
Shelby has. How about you, Frank?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We're going to Google that when I get home. Everybody Googles everything, you know. I do want to say on this segment, thank you for all the good folks at Collierville First Baptist for their men and boys cookout last night out at the Amick Farms out near Piperton. Appreciate you inviting me out there. Always a great event. Thank you, Sam Nichols, and all the folks at Collierville First Baptist. And no, I did not camp out with them, okay? I guess they're still out there, but I've got things to do today. My church has a great crafts fair. If you're looking for those perfect Christmas gifts, head out to Bartlett Hills Baptist Church, right off Old Brownsville out there in Ellendale, and you can get some bargains out there today at Bartlett Hills Baptist Church. And so, but you know, when you talk about that, I don't think a lot of people realize the importance of not only the safety aspect, but you guys in waterfowl hunting, those life jackets are important to y'all.
Oh yeah, I've been in many a boat, you know, traveling all over, airboats, big boats, little boats. I mean, you know, you can't be a waterfowl hunter without ending up in a boat at some point.
Yeah, and because I've been with Frank in his airboat, I think my life jacket was strapped on.
There's a picture to that effect.
There is a picture to that effect, but
you didn't get in a boat.
No.
You didn't get me operating a boat without you wearing one.
No, and my wife too. My wife too. That's a famous picture. But I go back to the years ago when those students from White Station High School out on the Big Mississippi River and didn't make it across. You know, and so you got to be careful. The weather is great. It's a great time to go fishing. It's a great time to get prepared for everything. I told the folks I'm already getting prepared for deer hunting. It's still, we're getting cranked. The bow season's going full force in Tennessee right now. Won't be long till the muzzleloader season will be cranking back up. And I think it's November the 9th right through the 22nd. Remember that because there is no CWD chronic wasting disease. We don't have that season anymore. We're just back to the standard regular season on the 23rd, opens on the 23rd, goes through January the 5th. And we've got all the other waterfowl seasons cranking up. Dove season's still going on. You got different segments on that and everything. But I'm looking forward to muzzleloader on November the 9th. Anyway, all right, we're going to take our next break. And here we go. We're going to talk to one of the 25 greatest waterfowl hunters ever, according to Field and Stream magazine. That's Terry Denham. As we come right back.
I thought you were talking about John.
I thought you were talking about Frank.
We better take a break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray on good Saturday morning to all you folks in Memphis here. Every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30 on AM 790, 92.9 HD FM. And, of course, in Brownsville on 1520 AM and 95.3 FM from 6 to 7:30. And, of course, in News Talk 101.5 in Jackson, Tennessee from 6:30 to 8. And, again, this is third Saturday. We actually have our co-host, our regular third Saturday co-host. It just happened to work out. We're going to talk a little waterfowl, and that's always good to have John Gordon, now that I've got his title secured, DU Media Production Manager. Glad to have you, John.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. And Frank Martin. Good to have you, too, Frank. You want to talk a little waterfowl, Frank?
I don't get a title.
You don't have a title. What is your title? Retired.
Dog guy.
Dog guy. That's what it was, dog guy. Just back from the Master Nationals with 1,132 dogs, something like that.
That is correct.
I did it right.
You learned it.
That's amazing. Well, I've learned a lot from this guy that's coming on with us now over the years, and he's been a supporter of Outdoors for Larry Ray for a long time. Go back, and I wanted to talk to him about another one of their great products from Mojo Outdoors, the new Mallard machine. But then all of a sudden, right before we go on the air a couple of days ago, I get this news release from our good friends at Field and Stream Magazine, and it says Terry Denmon is now one of the 25 greatest waterfowl hunters of all time by Field and Stream Magazine. So I don't know how to introduce you, Terry, other than say, good Saturday morning, glad to have you.
Thank you, Larry. Always glad to be here with you. How's everything in Memphis, Tennessee?
Well, it's nice and cool right now. I mean, we got a dry weather, and we're having a good time, and want to talk waterfowl with you. But dude, congratulations on that, buddy. I looked at that list, and I saw John Olam and Phil Robertson, Nash Buckingham, the man that started DU back in 37 in the late 30s.
One of the guys, yeah.
One of the guys, he did. And of course, our good friend Wade Bourne, John Browning, and to see this, Terry, the reaction I know is pretty overwhelming to put you in that, but just talk about your reaction to being included in that list before we talk about products.
Well, it is overwhelming, Larry. It's hard to believe because, you never think you did anything. But when I first saw that, I really didn't understand it. But if you read and you name off all those names of those guys you just named,
yeah.
It's people that they credit with having done something that advanced the art of waterfowling or advanced conservation in the favor of waterfowl. It sounds like, well, you're the greatest hunter in the world, but that's really not what it is at all. It's all about having advanced the art of waterfowl, or as I said, conservation of it. So anyway, it's overwhelming to me. I kept waiting for somebody to call me and tell me that was a misprint or something like that. But they haven't called yet.
Well, I don't think they will, Terry, because what Mojo Outdoors has done in the industry, I think John Gordon will agree with me. You were an industry changer, right, John? I mean, you feel that.
Well, yeah. Nothing changed waterfowling more than the spinning wing decoy.
Yes.
I mean, really.
Yeah. And you think about that, Terry, over the years and what it's been. And I know the reaction early on, everybody was, we talked about that thing for 2 years, it felt like, when Mojo came out with it. And now, if you go online and look at how many products they have now and where they've come to, but it changed waterfowl hunting.
It did. I'd have to admit that. It changed other kind of hunts too. Dove hunting especially.
Dove hunting, yeah,
was
yeah.
impacted by that. But we were just kind of standing in the right place at the right time when that came along, and there's a lot of people that was in there helped with that. Other than me, my original partner Murray Crow, he's actually the one that invented the original.
That's exactly right.
Mojo Mallards. So he probably deserves more credit than anybody does, but. That's what we do at Mojo. That's what we attempt to do is to make cutting-edge products. We try not to get into just what I call the Me Too feel. Everybody's got one of these. Every brand makes one of these. Every brand makes a gun case. We kind of stay out of that. and we sit around here and try to develop cutting edge products, and that's really all we think about. So fortunately, we've been able to do it on a few of them.
And now we're getting all cranked up. Like these guys are all duck hunters, are the most optimistic people I know. They're both shaking their heads yes here. I mean, yeah, I don't care what. Forget last year. Forget the year before. Whatever it might be.
We're going to get them this year.
Going to get them this year, Frank says. Okay.
That's right.
Well, if you're not optimistic, I suggest you don't get into the waterfowl hunting sport.
I think that's what it is. But you guys, though, the products that you come out with and have been motivated by, that's stirred interest in the industry. And you sent me that video of the Mojo Mallard machine. That's pretty cool. Talk about that one.
Well, that's the hottest product we got going on now. This is his first year. You know, we hunted with a few prototypes of it last year, but this is the first year we've sold it, and it's turned out to be very popular. But I would expect that all three of you guys would remember the original Mallard machine.
Oh yeah.
And we actually bought that company when we were really young in the Mojo business, but it was around before we were around. And it was a great machine, and it would really help you kill a duck. And one thing that I've watched and I like to say is, I haven't seen a whole lot of products in my lifetime that I can say for a fact that over and over again it helped me kill a duck. But that original Mallard machine would, but it was not user friendly. It's kind of hard to haul around. It's hard to set up. You have to have a marine battery, a boat battery, or something like that to run it off with. And so we said for years and years and years, I said we could just make something similar to that you could just punch the button and throw it in the water, because that's what the waterfowl hunter wants. They don't want something that's user unfriendly and hard to set up. So we worked on that. I can't tell you how many years we worked on that before we got it right. I can tell you one thing, I hate to have to mention, that we made the first one and I didn't like it, and we'd already spent like $40,000 on molds. I said, okay, throw that away. We're going to start over again. So we throw them $40,000 molds away and start all over again. But I like the one we got now. But it's actually a pretty simple concept, except for one thing that, is not very obvious. It floats on something that's designed like a buoy, a buoy in the river, a buoy in the lake. And you can't turn those over. You run on one of them buoys with your boat, it pops right back up. And so we took that and we took a heavy-duty waterproof motor, so small, and put on the bottom of it a little miniature trolling motor type prop, and we turned it on and off in very short increments. It's got on and off times on it as short as a half of a second. And so what it does, when you just bump that propeller, it'll jerk it down a little bit. If you run it a little bit longer, we have some on there that's up to about a second or something, then it'll start that walling around you saw. And then we cut it back down to a short one, and so it bobs up and down and walls all along. And
it looks real.
It looks like a feeding mallard out there.
It does. And again, we're talking to Terry Denmon, a Mojo Outdoors, and I might say a 2014 member of the Legends of the Outdoor Hall of Fame. I know when I went in 22, I said, golly, I'm in there with Terry Denmon. I feel that's an honor. But Terry has spent his life down in Louisiana, and I do know that if I'm not mistaken, Frank, you might listen, Terry's dad was a dog person, right, Terry? I mean, got you into.
Yeah, my dad was not a professional dog trainer. That's just he had one sport, and that's raise bird dogs and train them and hunt quail. And there was two kind of birds in the world: there's a quail and a Tweety bird. That's all two kind of birds.
That's kind of like we say there are mallards and scrap ducks.
Mallards and scrap ducks. That's what he's saying right there. But again, talking to Terry about Mojo Outdoors, and Terry has been good enough to we're getting ready to have the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Conference up at Reelfoot Lake at Blue Bank Resort here in about 2 weeks, and we'll have some auction items, and one of those was one of the Mojo ducks that Terry has donated. But I know, Terry, you look at this, and man, growing up in Louisiana and that Monroe area, and to see the sport itself, the evolution of the waterfowl industry, you've been a part of it. And of course, John working for DU. Conservation is so important to you. I know that, being a former member of the Wildlife Commission and everything. that's always been part of Mojo's mojo, hadn't it been, Terry?
Sure it is. All of us that's on here today love duck hunting, as most of the people that's listening to your radio show probably does. But duck hunting won't sustain by itself. So if there's not conservation and there's not people that care about it, then it just won't last. It won't, and it's been proven. Africa is the best example of it. You can see it in Africa, and there's a saying over there, and we've all heard it: if it pays, it stays. So by paying, it means people's got to want to do it. They got to be willing to spend their money, not only on equipment, but give it to conservation. They got to support conservation. So I think probably if you want to start listing the things that are important, I think conservation probably comes before duck hunting, because without conservation, we won't have much duck hunting.
And you agree with that, John? That's up your alley?
Totally. Right. Yeah. I mean, you think about it. If organizations like Ducks Unlimited and Delta Waterfowl stuff didn't exist, would there be duck hunting today?
No,
I don't know.
No.
Probably not.
Probably not. We'd be back like we were when I first started deer hunting. You never saw a deer. Back in those days. Now, if we could just get that turned around for quail and some of the other ones we're working on. But again, talking to Terry Denham, and I know Terry, what's the conditions down there? We got a couple of minutes here. Tell us what's going on waterfowl wise in Louisiana. Are you optimistic? I like to hear that. Yeah.
Well, I'm almost always optimistic because because you have to be, or you'll get out of the sport. But
that's right.
Other than that, here's a valid, rational reason. There's always plenty of ducks, even when they report the duck numbers are down 15%, and people curl their lip up and maybe I'm not going hunting this year. People don't need to get latched on to that, because we all know there's plenty of ducks. There's plenty of ducks all over North and Central America. What you need is weather. If the weather will bring the ducks to your area, you'll have more ducks than you can hunt. If the weather doesn't bring them here, then we kind of short of ducks. So to me, it's more weather related than it probably is anything. I mean, we have millions of ducks. There's plenty of ducks. But as the weather patterns have been changing over the over the last X number of years, and probably over 100 years, but we've noticed it over the last 10 or 15 years, and so they don't bring as many mallards to Louisiana as they used to, and it's just a fact of life, and we used to be mallard heaven here, just like y'all are all the way up to Memphis and all through the Arkansas part of it, there's still plenty of ducks, so you can still enjoy the sport just as much, if you just go out there and hunt. If it's the sport that you enjoy, if it's just killing that you enjoy, then that's a totally different issue. But if it's a sport that you enjoy,
camaraderie,
more than enough ducks to enjoy the sport.
It is. Well, Terry, we appreciate it, buddy. Now, so tell them how they can get more information about Mojo Outdoors. Where do they go?
Just go to mojooutdoors.com.
That's it, folks.
Got everything you need to know.
All right, Terry. Thank you, buddy. Always appreciate you. We'll stay in touch. Have a great weekend. All right? Okay.
Enjoy visiting with you.
Thank you, Terry. All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Good Saturday morning, everyone. Once again, it is the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray show. All things that you'd want to find out about what's going on in the Mid-South outdoor scene, you'll hear about it on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Duck hunting, bird watching, hiking, camping, fishing. You'll find out about it here on Outdoors with Larry Ray. And now, without further fanfare, the one and only, the oracle of the outdoors, Larry Ray.
Okay, now, John, you've heard that now, so be prepared.
I heard it.
Okay, you heard it. Okay, there it is. Randy Zellers, I don't know if you can top that, but I mean, it's when you have somebody with a special introduction like that. I'm going to try to do justice for you, Randy, okay?
Okay, all right.
Because we do. Because our next guest is our good friend Randy Zellers. He's Assistant Chief of Communications for the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Of course, Randy, tell him again what's your connection. You do have connections here at one time, right?
I do. I grew up. I grew up in. I grew up until I was about 12 years old in Bartlett, Tennessee.
There you go.
And then moved down to South Haven.
Yes.
And then, of course, a lot of my college years were spent down in Mississippi. I was from Mississippi at that point. So but I spent some time out west for a couple of years working for Cabela's. And then had to get back to the Mid-South because that's where my heart's at. So I've been at the Game and Fish Commission here in Arkansas for about 20 years now.
20 years now, and Randy's one of those guys we lean on, and as John and Frank know, and Frank mentioned it about reading a lot of Randy's stuff. I try to post as much as I can on my Facebook page, and of course you can go to LarryRay.com and get all the Arkansas Game and Fish Commissions because they have some great stuff that they put out almost daily, well,
we're blessed. We really are. We've got. We live in a state where we live in the only state in the union that you can hunt elk and you can hunt alligators in the same state.
And we're gonna talk alligator right now. We'll probably talk elk a little later because
it's getting time.
Because I can tell you, I was at that very first hunt in Arkansas, and I still have the pictures of me and that guy that won the first elk hunt for $42,500, I think, $42,500. But we're going to talk alligator right now because they just put out the news release. Randy did, and the rest of the guys with the Game and Fish Commission. And I tell you, Randy, before we start talking, I miss my Joe Mosby. Okay, anytime I think of the Game and Fish Commission and press releases, and Joe was one of those guys. He was from Memphis and started over here, but Randy. Arkansas alligator season. We just had recently the 2 weekends. You guys have posted the number 181 alligators.
That's right.
Were harvested, as we say. So talk about that for us because that was a little short from the previous year. So talk a little bit about those number-wise.
It is. I mean, it's still way up there. It's the second highest harvest on record here in Arkansas.
All right.
And last year's record, I mean, it was a little bit more than that, obviously, but it's still. I mean, this year we had a lot of what we really had. We had fewer tags available this year, which is part of the reason why it was a little bit lower harvest. And we actually saw a lot more private land harvest this year than usual.
Okay.
And a lot of that had to do with, believe it or not, we think it had a lot to do with the hurricane that came through, Helene that came through. When Hurricane Helene was headed this way, we had a lot of folks that it was predicted to be hitting in that second weekend.
Yes. Right.
So a lot of the people on private land hunts. We think they had the decision made that if they could get a gator, they were going to get one that first weekend, and not wait around for a bigger gator. And that's usually what happens when somebody has an unfilled tag. It's not because they didn't see gators.
Yeah.
It's because they didn't see one that met their standard, that they wanted a big one, and then time runs out on them.
And you got some big ones. I mean,
we did. This year, 12.6 was the biggest one this year.
12.6.
12.6.
Frank's shaking his head over there. 12.6.
Yeah. Now that's not the biggest one we have on record. The biggest one we have on record was from a few years back, and it was a half-inch short of 14 feet.
That is some kind of gator.
Yeah,
of course, we're talking
that's the biggest one on record for us.
And we're talking primarily southwest Arkansas.
Southwest and southeast Arkansas.
And as I remember, that's just amazing. I'm thinking, I saw that picture, and I ran the picture. I can't tell you how many comments I got on that photograph of that. When you think, that's 2 6-foot alligators. I mean,
all I can think of is we're going to need a bigger boat.
Going to need a bigger boat, yeah. But some of these people
you joke around about that. The guy that got that 12-foot 6-inch alligator, he was in a 14-foot John boat.
Oh my gosh!
I don't doubt that.
That alligator was only a foot and a half shorter than the boat that man was in.
Well, we had a young lady on the show about a month ago from Mississippi. That's what she does, and she was talking about a specially rigged boat just for that. Some of these people have these special. But you did mention you issued 50 public hunting permits through a public draw system. How many requests did you get?
We usually end up with about 4,000 or so people apply for those 50 spots.
Is that amazing?
Yeah. So, but it is. I mean, it's one of those hunts that it's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity on public land, on public water especially.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people, and just like that man that got that 12.6. That was on public land. That was the biggest gator we got in the state, and it was on public land. It was on Millwood Lake.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of one of those things that he wasn't even sure that he was, he wasn't planning on drawing.
No.
And everything just kind of fell into place, and all he had to work with was a little 14-foot boat, which he thought would be okay to, be able to get in some of the skinnier water, the backwaters.
Yeah, that's what you think they're going to show up in a kayak. And folks, get this now. They don't hunt normal hours. This is 30 minutes before, 30 minutes until, 30 minutes after sunset to 30 minutes before sunrise. So they're hunting in the dark.
That's right. Everything's at night. And you do see, a lot of people will see the gator hunters and the stuff on TV where they're, they have gators that are hooked up on trot lines and things like that.
Yeah.
In Arkansas, you're not allowed to do that. You have to either harpoon that alligator by hand or snare it by hand using a pole and a snare, about like what a dog catcher uses. So you have to get alongside that gator to make that happen a lot of times. So,
in a 14-foot boat.
In a 14-foot boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's slipping up on a gator that's almost as big as his boat and about to put a rope around it and seeing how far that thing's going to drag him. That's what it boils down to.
You can go to agsc.com/alligator and get a lot of information, and the photos you guys took are just amazing. I always like to run photos of big catfish, but when I see these alligators this big, and I know my good friend Ricky Flint, who used to be the Mississippi alligator guy, and Ricky is retired, and I think they were midnight they started taking requests, and like 12:05 they were through. I mean, because they were gone. So what's the thrill out of this, Randy? You've written about them and you've seen them. What's the kick here? I mean, what do they do with them?
Well, one, there's a lot of good meat on those things. For one, there really is a lot of good meat, mostly out of the tail.
Yes.
And matter of fact, the man that got that 12.6, when he butchered that gator, when he got the meat out of it there on the tail, he had what is essentially, if you're familiar with deer and back straps.
Yeah.
He basically explained that he had about 4 back straps. The way the tail works, you got about 4 back straps worth of meat, and every one of them was as tall as he is, and he's like 5'7". So there's a lot of meat there. Of course, the alligator hide. Most folks, everybody that gets an alligator gets a new pair of boots.
A new pair of boots, yeah.
So they get a pair of boots and a belt, and so there's things they do with that. But honestly, a lot of it, and it's a resource that it's one of those resources that we want to keep, a good, healthy balance and keep it where. We don't have too many conflicts with people and neighborhoods, things like that. And that is one thing that we've seen a lot of since we opened up alligator hunting years ago. We have seen the decrease in the number of nuisance complaints that come in.
Yeah.
One, because we're able to keep that population in check a little bit, and two, people are a little bit more tolerant of them.
Yeah.
We have folks that if they have a gator that's in a pond that's on the back 40 or something like that, that's really not bothering anything, they'll keep it around and they'll be able to take care of it themselves once alligator hunting, because the way the private land system works, instead of tags, we use a quota. So anybody that if you have access to private land in Arkansas, you can get a $5 permit for the alligator hunt. And as long as the quota has not been filled in your zone, that $5 permit is all you needed to get that game.
$5.
That's right.
Wow. Well, we got 2 minutes to go here. You got a question, in one of y'all? I'm wondering how much that alligator weigh if it's that long?
I don't know how much that one weighed, but typically when they're at 12 foot, they're touching 500 pounds when they're at 12 foot long.
It's just amazing. That's amazing.
And and matter of fact, that alligator, they couldn't get it in the boat. He did tell me that. They basically had to lash it to the side of the boat and then start working their way back to the boat ramp, floating it beside the boat. the whole way back
Frank?
once they dispatch.
How about that, Frank?
Why would you want it in the boat?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he's dead when he's. Well, I mean, that's when you get it harpooned, you get it snared. They'll pull it up to the side of the boat, and then they'll go ahead and dispatch it using either a bang stick or a shotgun.
Okay.
So it's but nobody brings the gator into the boat alive.
Nobody. Yeah.
Nobody that lived to tell the tale anyway. I'll tell you that. So
great stories. Great stories. Randy, thank you, buddy.
It's a lot of fun. It's probably my favorite thing to cover every year is some of those things about those alligator hunts, because there are some wild stories that come out of it.
Yeah, some good old guys out there doing that. I know that for a fact. All right, Randy, thank you, buddy, for being with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Oh, this was great. Anytime.
Keep up your good work. Thanks, Randy. Have a great weekend. All right?
You too.
All right, let's take a break. Come right back. It's time to go to Little Red River on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. And I've been wanting to get this next guest, this young man, on the show, and we're going to try to hook up with him every once a month at least with our good friends at Lindsay's Resort over the Little Red River. Talk to Lindsay White, all the great folks, and I met this young man at the boat show, I think it was, back in early this year, Levi Moser, and I said, Levi, we need to talk on the radio, and so we have got him with us right now. Levi is, and Levi, I want you to know, Levi is a guide for Lindsay's on the Little Red River, but not only that, but he's a fly fishing guy, but he can take you out in other things. You get ready to have a birthday in December, he'll be 29. He makes us feel young, guys. Makes us really feel young. But the thing I've struck, Lindsay, when I ask you about your bio, you're from Valonia.
I am.
My roots are in Valonia.
Is that right?
My Uncle Russell and all the families, I got relatives right now in Valonia. And so,
how about that?
Yeah.
As do I.
So you went to Valonia High? I mean, you went to the high school?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I've got a niece, her and her husband, Kurt and Esther Hetherington. They live in Valonia. Their son played football, and the only thing about Valonia I remember is how many tornadoes y'all had. I mean, that's
that's kind of what we're known for.
It's known, but no, man, I spent much time in Valonia. When I saw that, I said, man, I got somebody from Valonia. He's got to be a good person, and everything. So anyway, thank you for doing this, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Little Red. Talk about it, because we had a wet September. We've had a dry October. Talk about what's going on fishing-wise there.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now they've been doing a very minimal generation.
Okay.
If they have been generating, it's been typically in the evenings.
All right.
So this is just, it goes day by day, but that's just kind of what it's been doing lately.
And how many generators? How many generators do they have, Levi, coming out of?
So Griffith Ferry Dam runs 2 generators.
2 generators.
It also has floodgates, but for most of the time you're just going to see generators. Floodgates is a pretty rare occurrence.
Okay, yeah. But we get minimum flow then. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yeah, just typically in the evenings right now. We did have 2 generators for a couple hours about 2 mornings ago. But other than that, for the most part, it's been low water. Okay,
and which makes great fly fishing, right? I mean, that's your ballywick now.
It makes phenomenal fly fishing, especially when you get a little later in the fall. They get close to those shoals, and those browns like to start spawning, so it's phenomenal.
We'll talk about that. Before we talk about the other thing about the fly fishing part of this. So what are your schemes you're using right now? What are you using?
So what I've been doing is typically yimping in the morning. So fishing anywhere from 5-6 foot deep, and right now I'm on a very particular bite, which is a hare's ear, and I like to use one with either a gold bead or a black bead.
Yeah.
And also if you can get on an egg pattern bite, then that's pretty fun. It's probably just a little early, but it should pick up here real soon. And also if you can get you on a pheasant tail bite or some kind of rust nymph.
Yeah.
They seem to really be liking that.
Oh, I guarantee my fly fishermen are eating this up. I don't have a clue what you're saying, but my fly fishermen are eating it up, buddy. I don't know, though, because that's what I wanted to hear from, because we got a lot of Memphis people that go over there and fly fish.
Yes, sir,
whether
we
in
do.
Cow Shoals or anywhere down in that area right there. Memphis just about made Lindsay's Resort. Now, you might
I'm
have.
telling you, we get a lot of people from there, man. A lot of people, and we love it.
Well, and so we're in October now. Big fish time. What is that coming up? Or are the browns say November? Because I caught my biggest brown ever in December, right after a snow. So I mean,
right? Yeah. Sounds about right. Them browns, they're very meticulous with that cold weather. So in November, December, you get them kind of moving up, starting to really spawn well, and this time of the year, like in mid-October, you can kind of start working egg pattern bites with little dropper midges.
Okay.
And like I said, you just start working your way. They start looking up a lot more, so you just start working your way with the depth. So like right now I'm fishing, 5 foot. I'll probably soon be fishing those shoals where I'll be fishing, 3 foot, 2 foot. So it's
so much
it's
different.
really cool whenever you get to actually see them,
And it's different if you're thinking, folks, little red and white. I mean, there's got twice a generation on the white. You've got all the vegetation on the little red. Of course, that's where
Correct.
Rip Collins caught his big fish. They put that place on the map a long time ago, way before when you were born. But I actually got to interview that man at that time.
Wow.
So for the folks that aren't fly fishing, talk about what's going on bait casting wise.
Yeah, sure. So with bait casters, I grew up bass fishing. That was kind of my passion growing up. So I can go out there and sling a bait caster with any of them. But what I like to do, if I'm going to pull out a bait caster, is I like to run about 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon.
Okay.
And what you kind of need is a heavy flow of water if you want to catch big fish. I mean, that's just kind of been my experience. The heavier the flow of water, typically, the better the bite.
Okay.
And you can really, anything that you feel confident that you can get erratic and it can match a brown trout or a rainbow color.
Oh yeah.
You're probably gonna put yourself in a good chance to catch a big fish.
And not only
so erratic can be, jerk baits. They can be
jerk-baits,
follows, countdowns. I don't run a whole lot of crankbaits out here. There a lot of people in the white fish a lot of Z jigs.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So I'm with a company up here called P&J's Tackle in Fayetteville, and they make some marabou jigs. So you can also throw some marabou jigs and work them, pretty erratic.
Done that again. We're talking to Levi Moser of Lindsay's Resort, a guide on Little Red River. And before we let you go, Levi, more information. That restaurant is still open on the weekends. Is that right? Is it?
So they actually just closed it down for the season. They're doing catering events. It's wedding season up here,
That's
so they're
true.
pretty busy
with
the conferences and the weddings. So it should be back open. Probably come closer to Valentine's, but make sure to call the office and double check if y'all have any questions about it.
And they can go to lindsaysresort.com, right? I mean, that's get information about the place and.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
you'll see our rates there, and I'm sure you can find our availability through there or TripAdvisor.
That sounds good. All right, Levi, thank you, buddy. We're going to be talking to you. Tell Lindsay and all the White family hello for us, okay, buddy? All right.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Good job. We'll talk to you next month then. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Levi.
One.
All right, have a good one. Valonia, go. All right, buddy.
Yeah,
right.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. All right, thank you. Bye. Bye.
All
right. Levi Moser. I had no idea that. He was from Valonia, and that is a lot of my old stomping grounds. About 30 miles out of North Little Rock, where I grew up, and my Uncle Russell had a farm out there, and I bet they have tornadoes every other year. It seems like, but
yeah, that is kind of a tornado.
It's
corridor.
a tornado alley over there. I want to talk before we get with Frank about the Master Nationals, and we got a little time right here, Frank. The book doesn't really do justice other than to show you what a massive effort this was, but it went well. I mean, it went.
We had a good event. The weather was challenging there at one point, but we did the right thing when we shut down for a complete day.
I kept up with it. Y'all had great videos and things.
Out of safety concerns. Yeah, some of us went out in the weather and did our Weather Channel act out there in the weather, and but it was a good event. 1,132 dogs entered. We had 449 that passed. That's about 42% of the dogs that started. Brought back pheasants. We have not used pheasants for the last several years.
Okay.
So we brought back the use of pheasants into the test, and that was exciting. Unfortunately, one of my dogs got a little bit too excited in the first series and never picked up a bird.
Well, I'm not saying it was Gus.
No, it was Hershey.
It was Hershey.
Okay. She's the more steady one, but she just sat there and she watched that pheasant fly off and just took off and gave no indication. So it happens. We say there are three kinds of dogs: those that have broke, those that will break, and those that you don't want because they don't hunt. I say she's graduated now.
Let's bring us back to how's Buster doing?
Oh, he's great, man. He's already been to North Dakota, early goose up there. He picked up around 100 teal, I guess, in Texas.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah, going with me to Prince Edward Island, then into Maine, then back to Texas, then into Idaho, then Utah, then Arizona.
We need a new picture of you and Buster, okay?
It should be like Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie.
I just need another picture so we can show the age of both of y'all.
Oh, yeah, I know it. I mean he's 3 years old now.
He's 3 now,
and,
okay.
Like I said, it's pretty experienced dog at this point.
Yeah, and I know they get excited. You two guys, Frank's. Are you taking a break now?
Oh no, I came home on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I ran a test that weekend.
Come on, did you
club,
really?
The Mid-South Club had its event that weekend, so I came home Wednesday night at 7:30, and I was setting the test up Friday afternoon at 2:00.
Well, will that go on till duck season? I mean, are you?
Yeah, I've got a test that I'm going to run in North Alabama in a couple of weeks. First weekend in November. Another one in Demopolis, Alabama, this weekend after that. And then that'll be it. That'll be it. That will be my last one for the fall, and we'll
get ready for duck season.
We'll be getting ready for duck season.
All right. Well, I'm going to save John for this next segment. This is going to be a fun segment, and we'll let John handle the introduction here, and then we'll talk more about what John's got going on because he's a busy man for DU. And I really appreciate both of you guys being in studio today. All right, let's take a break. Come right back and wrap up this week's show on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Good Saturday morning and welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We thank you for listening to the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio. Coming up next, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's guns. I have some. I'd like to have some more. So without further ado, here he is, the man, the myth, the legend of the outdoors, Larry Ray.
All right, the myth. I like that. I like that myth in there, I mean, how about it, Frank? How was it, Frank? Is it okay, wasn't it?
John does it. He does it well.
He does it well.
He does it well.
He articulates well.
He's professional. He is a professional.
He is that. Yeah, he's in communications. So how about this next guest that you've lined up? Is this show going to the Pitt? I mean, what is this?
To one of them, anyway. There's several.
I've never had anybody wish he had more guns. And
Man,
so
I can't have enough.
Hey,
we're guns. No.
I asked John. I said, John, I need somebody to fill a segment here. This is not like nobody else to do it, but when he said Stephen Pitt, I said, well, that's great, man. Let's talk to Stephen. We can talk gun talk here on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and of course, it's always good to have somebody from the Pitt family on here. But good Saturday morning, Stephen, and as I tell everybody, this is not Larry King Live. This is Larry Ray Dead. And so we appreciate you. And Stephen, of course, is the DU product coordinator, the DU Gun Committee selection, gun handling, and pickup events. And we talk a little bit about guns. So tell us what you do as part of your Ducks Unlimited duties.
Well, mainly here with guns. Part of here, the committee, we deal with buying the firearms from the manufacturers or distributors. We do that at SHOT Show every year.
Yeah.
We go there January, meet with around close 25 to 30 different manufacturers, vendors, set up all the meetings with them. Then we sit down as a group, kind of hash everything out, go with what we think is going to work best for us. And we select roughly 12 different guns.
Okay.
We run through our events every year. So we have probably from the manufacturer, we'll do 24 to 25,000 guns, probably pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I've never thought about this until John brought it up with you. You think about the fundraising events, and that's FUND. It could be, you could drop the D and just fundraising events. But and Frank's been to a ton of these. I've been to a ton of them, and they click off, and there's so much going on. But guns are at the focus of this thing.
Yes, luckily in my department, that's we've got a big focus of them. So guns are pretty popular, like Gordo says, and he wants even more. So that's why a lot of people go to them to get the guns. So it's they're big money maker for us. They really help us out a lot.
And talk about that from your perspective, John.
Well, it's true. I was just at a big event in El Campo, Texas, that I think raised over $350,000. And there were, they had, besides the gun of the year, and you got categories there. You got handgun, rifle, shotgun.
Yeah.
And then there was a ton of other just ancillary guns involved in the package. And so, it just depends on the event. Sometimes they'll have more or less. We have gun calendars.
You do, yeah.
It's a huge part of the DU fundraising process.
And we're right in the heart of that. I know Germantown just had theirs. I think Memphis is getting ready to have theirs in early November.
Arlington.
Arlington. And all these, and we're talking again to Stephen Pitt. We give him the title, but DU product coordinator. But we're talking firearms here, what we're talking about. And the number-wise, and then he mentioned the gun of the year.
That's been a huge deal for us, the gun of the year.
And that's a selection committee, is that right, Stephen? How do we do that?
Yes, sir. It's a committee made up of volunteers and some of our regional directors and staff. It's a voting process. So it's not a one person says this is what we're going with. We got to have a majority.
Yeah.
Majority rules type deal. So we go through that for every gun, not just the gun of the year. If we go through
every gun. Yeah.
Yep.
And this you guys put on how many events, John? You think?
It's roughly 2,000 in spring, 2,000 in the fall.
Wow. And so if you're doing over 20,000 guns, right? And selecting them and getting them, shipping them, and all these different kind of things.
Yeah,
we got to get them.
Yeah. Talk about the process of that. Yeah, talk about the process of that just to get them available at the events and things.
Yeah, so the RD regional director, they'll have like a budget, so to say, so they'll get the certain gun that they can have.
Yeah.
And then they'll place the order with us, and they'll have to get those guns shipped to the FFL for the event.
Yeah.
And then from there, they'll, most of the times the FFL will actually have a person there at an event, kind of overseeing the guns.
Yes. Yeah. And again, we're talking to Stephen Pitt, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your dad, Pat, because of what he's meant to waterfowling locally, whether it's taxidermy, whether it's cooking, whatever it might be. The Langell River, Langell Lounge, the club over there that I went to once. I didn't get invited back. I don't know what happened after that. You have to ask your dad about that. But no. But this guns. Let's talk about what do you shoot with when you go duck hunting?
I still shoot a gun that I basically kind of Frankenstein together since I was 15 years old. It's a Super Black Eagle 1. I've had to replace a lot of parts and pieces on it, but I've tried to keep it together the best I can since then. So I've shot that gun since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So it's been good to me. So
okay, how about you, John Gordon? What's your preference here? What do you use?
Man, I've shot so many different guns, Larry.
What are you going to shoot this year? Huh?
Well, my double gun, my Italian custom gun, I've shot that throughout, both in North Dakota and then in Texas. And I'll tell you what, I've really fallen in love with that little 20 gauge. It's just, man, I mean, it's really different to have a gun that's completely fit for you personally.
It is, yeah.
It just shoots where you look, so it's fantastic.
I like his 20 gauge. My Browning black gold.
Yeah,
it's heavy, you know.
Yeah, right. And that little 20 weighs. I had it specified. It's a little less than 7 pounds, which is perfect to really swing a gun, quickly, but not to be too light to where it's whippy.
What about you, Frank?
It's pretty easy. Benelli M1 Super 90.
You've used that
for
a while.
That's a good one. I had one of those.
I've had it
forever, right?
I mean, I don't know how long I've had it, but
don't most duck hunters like mine is. It was a gift to me a long time ago, and I'll say Wayne Dowdle from Dowdle Sports gifted me that shotgun that I like and use. It's but it's still a 12 gauge, and I'm 81, and I'm looking for something a little smaller.
Nothing wrong with the 20. Then today's modern ammo, Larry.
Well, that's really what I'm thinking. I'm going to switch to this year before I hunt with Frank over there. And what about you, Stephen? What do you recommend? I mean.
Well, like John just said, a 20 gauge with how far it's come along with the ammunition and the technology that's brought us. I mean, the 20 gauge is just as deadly as the 12 gauge nowadays.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
So I think my dad had to go through it a couple of years ago because of a shoulder rotator cuff. Actually, he had a replacement shoulder surgery. So that year he went to a 20 gauge and he did just fine with it. I saw him kill some ducks and geese or.
I think that's what I'm going to switch this year. Of course, your dad's been through so many things. I can remember some health scares there too.
Here's a little inside.
What, John?
Here's a little inside deal for you, Larry, for fans of the Ducks Unlimited television show.
Yeah,
I've got coming up early January. We're going to film, Pat, Stephen, and Stephen's son Reed.
Are you really?
It's like a 3-generational deal on DUTV, so that'll be coming out next summer.
That'll be coming out next summer. How about that, Stephen? I mean,
I'm really looking forward to it. When John kind of pitched the idea to it, I definitely perked up and was all in for that one. That's something that really, I think we'll have a good time doing.
That really ages me here right now. So, so do you guys? Do you get to go to many of these events? You're the gun man. I mean, do you hopefully.
Yeah. Of course, I mean it's all locally here that I'll do, and DeSoto County, Shelby County, or stuff like that locally. I mean, I don't really. The only traveling I really do for my job is just from here, and then our once a year trip to the SHOT Show. So
that's what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being with us, Stephen. Tell your dad hello, and I just can't imagine. How old is Reed now? I mean,
he's 9.5 right now.
Wow,
he's 9.5 and raring to go. And
I
think my dad enjoys going more than anybody.
I've seen pictures of him with your dad.
He's got his grandfather's band luck. Stephen got skipped completely.
Yeah,
he did.
And Reed's already killed a banded mallard and a wood duck.
Really?
And he's 9.5.
And he's 9.5?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm not the.
How many bands do you have, Stephen? Now we've opened the door here. Huh?
Last time I counted, now it's when I was younger. We did a lot of local hunting.
Yeah.
So I think I'm pushing right close to 75.
Okay.
How many does your dad have?
How many is your dad? How many is Pat got?
He doesn't even know.
He doesn't even know. No.
I put it well over 250, 300 easily for him.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, you shaking your head? How many you got, Frank?
Two.
I got one.
Like me, Frank.
I got one, but I still got the leg with it. I've got it still on the band, on the leg, and everything. Hey, Stephen, thank you, buddy, for being with us. Again, tell your dad hello, and we'll all get together sometime. Okay, man? Tell him I'm still alive. All right, buddy?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, Stephen. Thank you. Have a great weekend. All right?
Oh, you too.
All right. Okay. Stephen Pitt, you can cut us off there, Shelby, and we're going to close it out, this baby. Let me tell you about next week's show with Mr. Wong will be in the studio next week, along with Bill Cooksey. Cooksey's new job. I guess y'all have heard about that with the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. I'm really happy for Bill, and we'll see if Bill will join us. And then, of course, we're going to talk to the new COO of BASS, and that's Philip Johnson. Will be on next week's show, and a couple of other surprises a lot of this, folks, will depend. I've got called for jury duty on Monday. I'm dreading it, but I got to go, and we'll see how that happens. And if it not, Mr. Wong may be by himself, and that's scary, but I don't know. But anyway, Frank, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Larry. Good to be back.
Good to have you, John. We're going to have to get a picture before we leave.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I won't be back until December.
December. All right. Shelby, thank you. This is Larry Ray reminding you, as I do each and every week, it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. What else, guys?
God bless the USA.